So today we've got the handover for the Auto Sleeper Kemerton. With this one, it's got the Alco air ride system on it, so you can use a small pump to inflate the rear suspension sacks, which allow obviously just an enhanced ride quality if you've got the vehicle loaded. Underneath the passenger seat, you've got a vehicle toolkit, and then underneath the floor, you've got your engine battery. Bonnet release on the end of the dashboard. So with lever up on the end, and then you've got your screen wash over on the left hand side, power steering, brake fluid and radiator reservoirs just there, oil filler and dipstick down the front. Should you ever need to jump start the vehicle, because the engine battery is under the floor, up comes the cap on there. Positive goes onto this section here and the negative goes onto the bolt at the front, and you can jump start. So this is fitted with an onboard LPG tank, so you can flip the cover out like so, and then the attachments go on to allow you to fill it with gas. Underneath the vehicle there is an isolation point on the tank itself. Mains hook up on this one, so you've got a little blue lever which you then push down on to allows you to release the clip. Hold this to 90 degrees and then slide the whole body of the unit back in so it docks in. Connect to the side of your van first of all, and then connect to your power supply that you're going to be using. External aerial and external water fitting for drawing your water into the van, as well as the exhaust vent for the water heater, room heating system, and then a vent underneath for the heater. Towards the back of the van, you've got a blue and a grey tap there. The blue tap for the freshwater drain, and then the grey for your grey water from the onboard tank's shower tray. Fiala bike rack on the back, firm tug down onto the deck. You can adjust these cups forward and back to allow for your wheels, and then you've got ones that will attach onto crossbars or spars for securing the vehicle at the 3 points. So on the Kemerton you have an end bathroom, which means you have the cassette just inside the caravan door. This is a two-part system, so at the top you have a flush water reservoir. Into this you can add fresh water and a pink solution. The recommendation to stop you spilling water into the van is that you use the little cup that's provided and attach that like a little funnel, and that makes life a little bit easier. Cap goes back on. If you want to drain the reservoir down for winter storage, then carefully disconnect this rubber section at the base and pull this one down, keep your finger on it, and then direct that outside of the vehicle, and that allows that top flush reservoir to empty. Close that back up and back into the van, like so, firm press in. For the cassette itself, with the lever shut on the cassette, you should be able to draw up on the smaller green handle, slide the whole body of the cassette right out, go over to your station for disposal, take the green cap off completely, and then tip up and press the green button in, and that allows the air vent to let in, and obviously then for the waste to come out the bottom. Before you put it back into the body, up to a capful of your base chemical, green for the Highlands, mixed with about 2 litres of water, and then give it a little swirl round and load it back into the body of the toilet cassette itself. For the awning, T goes up into the slot. The awnings are designed to sunshade, so wet or windy conditions you do need to put them away. Wind the awning out to a midpoint whereby you can reach the inside legs. These are spring loaded, so push in and then drop each leg down and around like so. And then to lock it off on a certain height, just pull back on the tab like so. Awning extension goes out to about 2.5 meters. It's a bit windy today, so we won't fully put this one out at this moment in time. To retract, fold the little peg back in, guide the whole leg assembly back up into the unit, and then let it drop back on itself, and then wind it back in. It's a recommendation with this design that you have the sliding door shut because the bottom edge of the awning can catch the top of the sliding door. Ventilation for the back of the fridge. You'll notice a little bit of heat dissipation coming out of that when the fridge is on. Your fuel filler cap isn't affected by the central locking, so you can open the outer flap and then its ignition key in, turn the key anti-clockwise, turn the cap anti-clockwise, and then fill up with diesel accordingly. Just as you open the sliding door, you've got a single button for the step operation, and then below that a couple of additional light switches for the down lights and for the awning light above the door. Moving inside the van and above the sliding door, you've got a 12-volt control panel, very simply operated. To turn on the 12-volt system, go for the end button. It'll automatically show that you're using the leisure battery. You have the option of using the vehicle battery in an emergency. A separate switch for the water pump. I'd recommend you use that on demand. And then you have this as your water level gauge. If you select onto the leisure battery or the vehicle battery, it will give you indications as to how healthy those batteries are as well. So we've moved underneath the bed section and you've got your EC155. On your left hand panel here, you've got your fuse board. There's a menu for those fuses underneath. These are all internally operating the 12-volt system. Adjacent to that, you've got your RCD switches for the 240-volt main supply that comes in. We can do a little test here just to test to see that the main supply is working, which it is, and then you can bring up the black and red switches respectively. On top of that unit is your battery charger, and that's dedicated to charging the battery that's been selected. Over here, because we're connected to the main supply, you've got a water heater and a room heater. These are the master switches, so if you're using those appliances, you may well have to have those on for mains operation. Beneath the kitchen sink, you open up the little cupboard and you've got a bank of 3 individual isolator taps for the gas operation of the water heater, the cooker and the room heating system. And then over to the left there's a yellow lever, and that's the drain valve for the water heater. In the position that it's in at the moment, it's allowing water to flow through the whole system so you can purge and heat up the water unit. If we were to turn that up vertically, then it would allow the water heater to drain out for winter storage. There's a cavity next to the fridge, and you'll notice that that's got the isolator in it for the fridge. Whale water heater and room heater. We'll start with the water heater first of all. We'll make the assumption that you've already drawn water through the system and that you've got a constant supply of cold water coming out of your hot taps because you've already shut the yellow tab. When you want to operate the water heater, you have a choice of either gas or mains electric. Mains electric switch needs to be turned on underneath the sofa unit, and then you have a choice of a low wattage setting or a higher wattage setting for the main electrical operation. It's going to take around about 20 to 40 minutes for that reservoir of water to heat up. It could be boosted by using the gas. So automatic ignition, you may well see a green light come on indicating that the gas supply has been lit. If it fails to ignite, then you'll see a red light corresponding. Alternatively, if you are operating in an environment where there's no mains hookup, then obviously you can leave the main system switched off and it will just operate on the gas. When we come over to the room heating system, you've got 2 dials. Dial on the left hand side. If you turn it anti-clockwise, you have a choice of low, medium and high 240 volt energy settings. So again, you need to turn the switch on underneath the sofa. If you turn it back clockwise, you can just use it in a fan operation for recirculating the air within the vehicle. And then there is a gas only operation as well. And similar to the water heater, you'll see a green light come on when it's absorbing gas, and you'll see a red fail light come on if it fails to find the gas. Adjacent to that control, you've got your thermostat control. So it's in a frost setting at the moment. As you control and turn it around in a clockwise motion, you'll increase the heat output whether you use it on mains or gas. Gas operation is very simple and straightforward. So we've already got gas coming into the vehicle. It's an electronic igniter onto the main burners, and you can see it drawing through the gas. There is an indicator in the cab for telling you how much gas is in the onboard tank. My advice would be not to let that reservoir go below about a quarter of a tank. If they are completely evacuated of gas, then it's actually quite difficult to refill the system. The end dial is for the gas operation of the grill and the hob. So if you go in one direction, it will fire up the grill. Hold it in for a couple of seconds and let it permutate through. And then if you go in the opposite direction, that will allow you to light up the oven. Three-way fridge is operated by you turning on this little square button at the bottom. Hold it in for a couple of seconds and you'll see the whole display briefly light up. Individual settings, so you've got a gas operation, automatic ignition. If the blue light comes on and remains solid, then that's the setting done for that. To change it between the other settings, just press in on the left hand button. So we've moved it back to the mains. You have a 12-volt operation to work in conjunction with the engine alternator. Because the engine's off at the moment, it's flashing, indicating that there is a fault. Typically you'll use it on the main supply if you're connected onto the grid. Thermostat control, the more of these lines that are darkened, the colder the fridge will become. And when you open the fridge door, just on the inside of the door, you've got a little latch and you can clip it back into that position for winter storage. Stops any mildew building up within the appliance. Mains operated microwave has an isolator switch at the top, so you'll need to be connected to the grid again. You can go for a quick setting just by pressing timer control, so you can go for seconds, minutes, or even tens of minutes. Start button is over on the little silver square, and to cancel it, press the red circle. So for the toilet cassette operation internally, lift up your seat, pull this lever over to one side, that opens up into the main base cassette. Afterwards, obviously just you press that down onto the blue button, and that will draw the water around to fill the inside of the bowl. So shower unit, above the shower cubicle there is an extractor fan as well as some vanity lights for the mirror, and then you've got your main central light switch as well. So this little gauge down here only works when the engine is running, and it's your indicator for the onboard gas tank. We've already mentioned earlier where the location is for filling up the tank. We've mentioned obviously about not letting the tank run out, so I wouldn't let it go below this last couple of green markings. When you're refilling the system, when it first kicks back to tell you that it's got full amount of gas in it, stop at that point. Don't try and squeeze any more gas in. Overfilling the tanks can also cause problems as well. Up on your driver's door, you've got your electric mirror adjustment. Use the toggle to adjust the mirror that you require. So you've got 4 points on here for the 2 pairs of mirrors on each side, and then your electric window adjustments are there, as well as a means of locking the vehicle internally on the central locking system. Down on the right hand side of the steering wheel, you've got your headlamp beam adjustment, and you can use the mode button to go through selective menu options on the side. 3 stalks around the vehicle, so you've got your wiper controls and your light and indicator controls down here, and then just through the gap in the steering wheel you can see your cruise control settings as well. Steering wheel controls are connected to the radio head unit. Central dial or central control panel, so you've got heated mirrors which can be turned on from here, as well as a rear fog lamp. Another means of securing and locking the vehicle internally, as well as your ASR, your traction control, which you can disable if you're perhaps on wet grass or icy road conditions. Ventilation controls the speed and temperature on the left hand dial, and then the direction, and then internal and external circulation controlled on the bottom part of the dial as well. Centralised glove box as well as a small one, and then there is also a top one. The top one shares a vent with the air conditioning system, so it could be used as a mini fridge if required. Reversing camera onto this one, so obviously with your foot down onto the clutch, over into reverse, and you should see now your new camera image coming up in the centre there. So that concludes the handover for this Kemerton. Sincerely hope that you're going to enjoy this particular van. We're always available via the internet and email or telephone if you've got any further questions. On behalf of Highland Camper Vans, all the best.